Salutations, everyone. I'm Rikoshi, and yeah, I sound very silent and very quiet in this video, but it's because it is late at night. I couldn't sleep, and I heard that the live action Cowboy Bebop was released today, and I have words. So, what did I thought about the original anime? I love the original anime. I grew up with it when it used to be on Adult Swim. This is when Toonami wasn't, back. This was when Toonami recently died, or when Toonami moved to Cartoon Network, and all the anime that was staying with Adult Swim was shown late at night on Saturdays, just not on the same name block of Toonami. And they would show reruns of Fooly Cooly and Cowboy Bebop. And I really did enjoy the show when I was young and didn't fully watch it entirely, but only caught a few episodes when I could at the time, until I finally bought it on like a complete box set at a Dimple Records, and I enjoyed that show a lot, including the movie. So I did rewatch a little bit of the anime, but only through the parts that don't have Ed. And since I feel like Ed was not in this first season of Cowboy Bebop, but Netflix reassured us, oh, by the way, Ed's in it. Just want to let you know that she's in the show. So, what do I think about this live action adaptation? Well, usually with binge shows like this, I would just watch it all the way through and then talk about my thoughts about it. But since I'm out of town and have no way of producing more content of reviews in such a short time, I'm gonna do this daily. Like, watch one episode a day and then review it after I watch it. So we're gonna talk about the first episode of Cowboy Bebop, and I would say it begins honestly very strong, but that's not saying much because this is technically coming from an iconic scene from the Cowboy Bebop movie. You know, the one where Spike is wearing headphones and he just walks into a convenience store that is like currently getting robbed, and him and Jet go in to stop this robbery and take these men, or a few of these men, alive. It's different here. It's these people that are robbing a casino, but it's still in the same vein as that intro from the movie. And not only that, they do a good job recreating it. I do say that John Chow does have his strong acting chops in this scene. He does a great job as Spike. For the most part, I don't think he's great because his voice is not that iconic or cool as Steve Bloom's was. I mean, that was a given when I saw him cast in the role. But the actor who plays Jet, he is scary. As in, like, his voice. Like, he is scarily similar to the actor in the animated show. He sounds like him. And I can see why they cast him, because he does play the role of Jet pretty well in this. I will say he does good playing Jet, but I think the dialogue he's given in this show is just bad. Like, Not like all of it. Some of it feels very like Jet from the anime. But when it comes to him forcing himself to say a swear, like basically swearing, like cursing in this show, like when he has to swear in this show or curse, it feels very forced. And God, I hate that. It's just like with a live action Death Note movie. I really hated in that movie, they felt like, yeah, we're a rated R movie. Let's go and add more F bombs. Like, let's say fuck this, fuck that, or shit, or whatever. And just act like we're totally an R rated adult movie, but we're not. The dialogue will just come out as childish and forced. Like they're forcing themselves to say some kind of obscenity, and it just feels off. And I don't like that. I don't like when a show or a movie thinks that they have to use like curse words and feel like that's what they need to do when making an R-rated kind of movie. Like the Hellboy remake movie, I hate that it just was like thinking, yeah, let's just throw in a bunch of F-bombs because why not? Let's shout out so many obscenities because why not? We're totally an adult film, but it's not. It just feels very childish dialogue. And that's the suffering from this first episode, is that I do not like the dialogue that much. Sometimes the dialogue is good between Jet and Spike because you do feel that connection, that friendship, that banter they have with each other that they had in the anime. I say the two actors play off each other very well in this episode. But Jesus, they cram in a lot in this one episode. From the intro to the Cowboy Bebop movie to including Faye Valentine in the first episode, which I'm actually okay with. Because if they just did this episode beat for beat like the anime, then it would have been boring because you already know how it's going to end and you already know what's going to happen in each scene. And so far, it did play like that. But then the whole shock of seeing Faye Valentine coming out of nowhere and pointing a gun at Spike, it really did surprise me because I was like, oh wow, you actually included her in the first episode. And they treated it like the episode from the casino where she was pretending to be like what, like a, I forgot what its name when you're playing like poker or something. Uh, but she, but it was kind of like that episode. They combined the introduction of the Bebop crew meeting Faye with the first episode also. And it is pretty interesting that they did that because, you know, I'm actually all for that they did something different with this, including like just getting it there, getting it out there that of Spike's backstory of he used to love someone, he was killed, supposedly killed and shot by someone I guess he was close to, which was vicious, and they just show vicious immediately in this episode, including Spike's like, you know, ex-lover. I forgot her name, I'm sorry. uh I'm going by this from memory when I was rewatching this last month of Cowboy Bebop, but it's been a very stressful month, so bear with me with my trash memory. Which I did like. I did enjoy that they put a lot of stuff in here that was already a packed episode as it was. And believe me, I feel like they should have toned it down with how much stuff they crammed in this episode, especially mentioning Jet having an ex-wife and surprisingly having a daughter, which I don't think he had a daughter in the anime. So that was kind of odd to hear them suddenly like name dropping a daughter, and I was like, oh wow, that's a very heavy exposition dump on Jet. I don't like that. That's very forced. A lot of things are forced in this episode, and keep in mind we don't judge things from first episode. I say that it does well with the look, but I feel like its climax was less interesting than the original climax to the first episode. I mean, you kind of removed a lot of a bit of charm. Like, I feel like Jet and Spike needed more interaction with each other, more like humor and dialogue with each other that was similar to the, you know, first episode. Like with the food, or why is the food like low and it's not what he expected it to be, or whatever. And instead, Spike just eats it without, complaining in this. But then again, I know they want to try something different with the humor and try something different with the interaction with the characters, but I feel like you should have had more interactions with Jet and Spike because it felt very kind of scarce in this first episode that's like nearly an hour long. And that's bad because this felt like live action adaptation of Disney movies where all of the substance of that episode, the mainly the not substance, I mean it's still there, but it's poorly done, that you just start to say like, this doesn't feel right, because the pacing felt a bit rushed. The pacing needed work in this, because if that's what you're delivering for nearly an hour long episode, that is bad, because you crammed in so much in one episode. I feel like that's not good. You shouldn't have done that. You should have focused on the main plot, and that's it of that episode. But it does make that mistake that I kind of don't have a problem with, but I do at the same time. And that is, it was trying to be very, like, I don't know what to say, very kind of like the beat by beat cliche TV show tropes. And that is like, making like an arcing story basically with the syndicate and everything. And I know the syndicate was in the first episode, I know, but I feel like they were more focused on trying to be like, hey, look, there's Vicious from the original anime. Hey, look, there's like Spike's like past creeping up on him. I just feel like at least the anime gave you time to breathe, to know what the show is about. And it's about them it's about bounty hunters trying to get by, basically. And that's all you needed to do. I would have been okay with Faye entering the episode early on instead of a few episodes in. I would have been okay it being 50 minutes if you added more interesting stuff to it that is new, and not just over bloating it a 20-minute episode that didn't need to be over bloated. I mean, it started out okay, but then it made a 20-minute episode very bloated and kind of deviated from the main plot of that episode because it's like Spike's plot kind of drowns it. And I know Spike's like backstory and character is important in Cowboy Bebop, but it really doesn't give you time to breathe in this first episode. And I just feel like it just kind of bored me, but not that much. There is still some value in this episode, some interesting stuff in it. I do like the visuals, though it just seemed a bit washed out and not that colorful. I didn't like that. Sometimes it is when they're in the casino or in space. It does feel a bit more vibrant. But when they go to Tijuana, it just feels like you just entered a Robert Rodriguez movie, but if it was made by Warner Brothers. Plus, it's also connected to the DCEU. So yeah, it's not really a good start to your live action Cowboy Bebop series if you're cramming in so much in one episode. And I think that's bad because you should at least give your audience time to breathe and take it in and let them know that, hey, we're not going to screw this up. We're going to go and try and make this a faithful and good adaptation of Cowboy Bebop. And they don't really give you that. Well, they don't. They don't give you that faith at all. They just made you worried, or you were not shocked at all, thinking, "Yeah, I knew this was bad. I knew this was gonna suck." Like it didn't give you that reassurance. It just gave you something, for lack of a better term, mediocre. I can appreciate a few things they did in this episode, but so far the execution feels very poor. Presentation, I say, is nice, but if I want to say when things go downhill, it really is when Faye Valentine hits the episode. And I don't know if this actor has done anything better. I don't know if she is a good actor at all, but she's bad. The actor who plays Faye Valentine is just absolutely horrible. Hell, it's like when she goes into the episode, it's like everyone's acting starts to get worse. It starts to get bad. And keep in mind, when I said the whole Jet and Spike scenes were very nice and they actually were acted well, I meant it. They actually were acted pretty decently. I mean, even that poor forced exposition when Jet is speaking to a detective, I thought was acted a bit okay. But when Faye shows up, everything starts to go to a halt. Like, we all of a sudden just entered a different episode and we're just seeing Spike and Jet spew out exposition left and right while Faye is trying to act like she's funny. And keep in mind, yes, Faye is that over the top. Faye is that weird, silly, and like annoying kind of person that you see in the first episode. You see Faye in Cowboy Bebop, but you find out she is more than that as the episodes go down the line. But here, it's so bad. Every line from her feels like she was possessed by Nat Wolff from the live action Death Note movie with those terrible delivered lines, and it just feels awful. Even seeing Faye in a scene where it's just her is terrible. Like every bit of dialogue, she swears. Everything she sounds like, it sounds like a little kid said it. It just felt off, and I didn't like it. So, if you're wondering why the clips we saw, or like the little bit of trailers we saw from this live action Cowboy Bebop, it's because all of those scenes had Faye Valentine in it. That's why the acting is awful. And God, I just hate it. So yeah, this show is not starting off good, but hey, I said it when this show was announced. When this show was announced, I was like thinking, that sounds cool, but it's not going to be good as the anime. And I was right. From the first episode, I was right. Hell, I was right from the start because live action adaptations of anime are never good. Like Ghost in a Shell. I do enjoy the Ghost in a Shell live action movie adaptation, but it's not as good as the anime. I hate Dragon Ball Evolution, but Dragon Ball Evolution was a necessary evil because it gave us Dragon Ball Super. I don't like the live action Death Note movie, but there were some things I did enjoy, like Lakeith Stanfield as L until he became a murderous idiot in it. But all those were trash. Yes. The only good anime adaptations out there are Alita Battle Angel and the Speed Racer movie. And maybe Edge of Tomorrow, since that is based off of a Japanese manga, I think. Yeah, but I'm staying with this show because at least there was some good things they offered. The music, obviously it's good, but come on, it's just the aesthetic. I'm not gonna judge the show and say, oh my god, it's good because of the aesthetic. I went into an argument on Twitter with people saying that they are trying to keep in the spirit of the anime. And as much as people are saying they don't see it, I do see it because at least there are a few things in this show that actually do something good. I mean, yes, it's copy and paste, but at least it gives me faith to realize that they are trying to do something good with this. So far, they're not doing a good job, but at least they're doing better than most. What do I give this episode? It's a 4 out of 10 for me. Not even a point something. It's just a 4 out of 10. Yikes. Yeah. Believe me, this is never gonna replace the original anime. I mean, if you want to experience Cowboy Bebop better, the anime is the way to go. Don't let the live action adaptation be your introduction to this magnificent anime that everyone has praised to death. So, we'll see if this show is gonna get even worse, or maybe it'll surprise me and get better. Who knows? Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this, that's cool. I'm glad you liked it. I'm not gonna force you to subscribe or like this video because, it's your choice. And if your choice is to dislike it, or at least, not like my stuff, it's fine. I guess I'm just not for you guys if you don't like what I do here. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. I'll see you Wolfpack in the next one. Ciao, darlings.
Ow, ow, ow! Ow! How